Hello, Only Suits fans. This is an important producer note from Maggie. This episode is recorded with my husband, Amanda's brother, and throughout the episode, I will make repeated mentions of the song Tearing Up My Heart by what I say is the Backstreet Boys. This is a grave error that never would have happened if Amanda was recording with me, because as I found when I went to download Tearing Up My Heart to add to the end of this episode, it is in fact by NSync, not Backstreet Boys. And this is horrible because I also didn't know how to input the song at the end of this episode. We miss you, Amanda, but enjoy this Suits LA recap.
It's weird because normally at this time, we're just texting each other from across the room or the house. And now we're podcasting from house to house.
From house to house. I know. Normally we're married and share a space. But tonight, for one night only, still married, still sharing a space. It's just a virtual space.
Yeah.
A virtual
we'll
space.
see.
Yeah, we'll see. Normally I share this virtual space with your sister. So it's nice to share it with her brother.
Oh, yeah. You guys mentioned me a lot as your husband, her brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to make an appearance.
Maggie's never seen it and Amanda's obsessed. They don't wear fancy suits, they are casually dressed. They are sisters-in-law and they got a show about a law firm drama that aired a few years ago. Only Suits fans, 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 only Suits fans.
1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Check 1. I think that's good.
I think that's good.
Should we clap?
I think we should clap.
1,
1, 2,
3.
3. Good. There's a delay. Hello and welcome to Only Suits fans. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Kyle, and we're married by law.
Tonight, we're interrupting Amanda and my recaps of the original Suits to cover this incredible gift that is Suits LA with her brother and my husband, the one and only Kyle Austin.
That's right. Today we're recapping Season 1, Episode 11, Tearin Up My Heart, which we just watched from different states.
And it was great watching it from different states with you and texting throughout. I wish we were in the same state, though. You know,
it's okay. I'm here with you now. Let's press on.
Let's press on. And I took the liberty of writing the brief this week.
Oh, good, because I didn't.
Yeah, which is a genetic trait in your family. So here it is. It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you, but when we are apart, I feel it too. And while Amanda's out of town on a much deserved vacation, I'm with my heart's one true love, her brother, my husband Kyle, recapping Suits LA. Patton Oswald is back and ready to get in on the literal action with his own stunts, and we learn he's who got Ted in on the action of entertainment law. Stewart crashes into Yvette Nicole Brown and does not build community to mend their spat because he is still spiraling from the not real David Bowie's threats. And Amanda is crashing and burning on her Sierra Carson's defense until Erica saves the day. The only thing that can turn these storylines around, a nice soak in the mud and getting lit up next week.
I know that's right. Let me tell you, best part about this episode was preview of next episode.
This is what I would call, Amanda and I would call a filler episode.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that are being put into motion, but also a lot of storylines that kind of just go and end, and it's leading to something.
Yeah. And I'd like to back up just a moment to your brief and say I didn't know when you started singing and started talking. It was
That's
just kind of
that's how I meant it to be. It's kind of like just like the Backstreet Boys. You don't know what you're getting into, but you like it.
Well, you know you're in it.
Here's a depo for you off the bat. Backstreet Boys are in sync. I don't know this about you, and we've been married for 10 years.
I gotta be honest with you. B2B got me in it. But
B2B?
I think, B2B got me in it. But I think NSync really carried it home for me.
Yeah.
I could do the dance. I could do the stuff, so.
NSync dances were more memorable.
Yeah, and let's all not forget that we got the treasure who is Justin Timberlake that came out of NSync.
But you also know that Justin Timberlake got briefly canceled this year.
Oh, did he? Why?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I don't even remember.
I don't keep up with pop culture.
No,
sorry.
You know what? I keep up with too much of it so that I know that he got briefly canceled, but I can't for the life of me remember why. It's been replaced with some other pop culture drama. Well,
Me too.
It was before times, just like before credits. Let's start talking about this show.
That's right.
Okay.
It's Tearin Up My Heart. My Backstreet Boys is playing in the car with Stuart as he's dancing, doing his. It was such a weird way to start the episode. His kids are ignoring him. Then he backs into Yvette Nicole Brown from Community. And I have to, in the car line at school, he calls her out for being, a guest on Drake and Josh and says Community is a subpar show. Let me just back up. When he hit her, I was like, that's the girl from Community.
You immediately knew.
I didn't know that it was going to be very meta and that it was her playing her until he brought up Community at the end. I don't know. Did you think that?
Yeah. So that's what's interesting about Suits LA is they do a lot of these cameos with the actors playing themselves. But then also there's clearly actors playing different characters too. But yeah, it's funny when that happens. I wasn't sure if it was going to be her either until he said the Community thing because I didn't watch Drake and Josh. So I didn't know she was a returning guest star, Also, it was a weird way to start because the camera angle was like a dash cam, right? Like it wasn't like shot through the window like we see Stuart. It was like some reality TV show camera filming Stuart.
That was a weird cut.
What'd you think of his dance moves?
Average at best.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm talking like white boy moves, it's a solid B+.
Yeah.
But if I'm talking about grooves, C-.
Yeah. C- for grooves.
Yeah.
All right. Then we see Samantha and she tells Stuart like, hey, dude, you have a temper. And they go over all the things he has a temper about, including, but not limited to, when they change the soap in the bathrooms. And then he's like, oh, and also, by the way, the little fender bender I got into was with Yvette Nicole Brown, who is Rick's client, who is also at this firm. So Samantha's like, actually, you need to call and apologize and offer to pay damages because she is our client. Alternatively, you can supplement Rick's bonus for 5% from now until forever.
Yeah. I think his exact words were, I could lob a call her way or something like that.
For 5%? I could lob a call.
Yep. And then we get that flashback, right? After the credits. Well, I guess we hit our favorite song. Sorry, I don't want to.
Oh, no. We have Amanda going over.
Sorry.
No,
okay,
dude.
Let's back up. As I was saying, Amanda's going over the charge with Sierra Carson. Sierra totally meant to hurt her father by throwing an award trophy at him because he killed a deal that she really wanted. Sierra says it's not just her career her dad is trying to control, it's also her money. He won't even show her the books.
When you first heard this, how'd you feel as a father? As the dadfluencer? As a number one dad of this fam? How did you feel?
It's a double-sided sword. On one side of the sharp edge is you trying to protect your daughter, your family. You'll do anything. And the other side is letting them grow up, right? Letting them make their own choices. Now, I will throw that sword away and lock our daughter in a dungeon so that no one can
I will
get to
never
her.
allow her to get involved in entertainment, ever. She'll be, no. It was interesting how this is set up because I was definitely siding with Sierra. And then later on, which we'll discuss, I was like, okay, I see the other side of this a little bit.
100%. 100% agree.
But then we hear our favorite song.
I think with the delay, we should try that again. Let's do it again. You ready?
Then we hear our favorite song.
Greenback boogie. What are you doing here? I know how it goes.
It sounds like we're not
a greenback boogie.
And it goes a greenback
boogie. And then so we've heard
boogie.
Like again, I don't know if you're singing or talking.
That's the number one feedback we get from listeners is they're like, is Maggie singing or talking this episode? It sounded like I was listening to an album. Like, what is this, like Taylor Swift's new hobby? Like that's people are thinking that and almost writing it in.
People are almost writing in a lot.
They're almost, I can feel it like coming to me psychically, but they're just like, oh, but something's keeping them back. They don't want to sound stupid, but what I'm saying is my own husband doesn't know if I'm talking or singing. That's how elegant my voice sounds.
That's right. That's a gift.
You're not
alone.
A
gift. Cool.
Okay, we broke this down into a couple different storylines. We'll start with the flashback because that happened in the past, so it should happen first in how we talk.
Let me just say, there is an ungodly amount of flashbacks in this show.
Yeah.
There You know what? It feels like they put a flashback in when they forgot to write something in and they need to explain it. Or
Yeah.
as they get to the next episode, they're like, oh, crap, we skipped that. Oh,
Right.
let's just write a flashback.
I think they heard how much Amanda and I love the flashbacks in the original Suits, and they were like, okay, people love the flashbacks, right? But I think you're right. It's kind of like in moderation.
And that's where our point of conflict is. I don't like, you do like.
I do like it in the original Suits. I think it is hard in Suits LA because there's such a complicated backstory and such a complicated present story. So it's hard to actually sink your teeth into any of them right away.
And there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. But I do think as the season has gone on, it's gotten easier for me to like understand what's going on and follow all of it. But it's very hard to jump in and watch.
The first flashback starts in LA in 2010, and it's Ted and Eddie. They're at Stuart's bachelor party, and it's Eddie's last day in California. He wants to see Samantha, but it's been complicated since she left.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart comes out. He's screaming, bachelor party! And ask Eddie how he's handling his dad being on trial. Ted hasn't told Eddie.
Yeah.
Stuart says anything is on the table tonight for his last hurrah. I'm going to stop right there for a second. What did you feel when I confessed that he hasn't told Eddie?
I think that's fine. I understand. What? I understand why he didn't tell Eddie.
Why?
He's just kicking the can down the line, right?
Yeah.
Like
drive off that bridge when he gets there.
Right. Like if the dad's convicted, he's going to have to tell Eddie. If the dad's not convicted, then no sense causing a fuss on it. What did you think about Stuart saying that anything's on the table for his last hurrah at his bachelor party?
I think that's... what's the next question? Sorry. Oh, yeah. Then we see Stuart and Ted are singing karaoke, singing Tearin Up My Heart. And one of them is a little pitchy. Can't tell which one. Think it might be both of them. Couldn't also tell if they were singing or talking, to be honest with you. During that scene, Patton Oswald, he comes in and he starts talking to Eddie, which is pretty cool. And they're singing. Eddie recognizes him because he's a huge fan of Ratatouille. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Ratatouille. Mm-hmm.
Ratatouille.
Which we've watched.
We watched with the kids. Someone then aggressively comes and asks for an autograph and makes a terrible joke about Eddie, calls him a make-a-wish, and Patton stands up for him and kind of knocks him, verbally back a little bit. And then the guy gets in his face and pushes him. And Ted walks over there and jabs him just right in the nose, just pops off on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got anything else to say? And you could tell, that was like the first badass thing that we saw Ted do that wasn't present day.
Yeah. Except for, getting the mobster.
Oh, yeah. That was important.
But that was not in this episode. Then Patton, they're like sitting at the bar and Patton asks Ted like, hey, dude, are you the guy who put away Pellegrini? Because I follow mobsters.
I'm a Scorsese fan.
I'm a Scorsese fan, so I follow real-life mobsters in New York, and I knew that you were putting away Pellegrini, the head of the mob. And he tells Ted, like, hey, if you ever consider becoming an entertainment lawyer here in LA, I'll give you a call. Give me a call. I'd love to be your client.
Well, and the reason he does that is because Ted shoots him straight. He doesn't sit there and fluff him a little bit and say, oh, you're great. Blah, blah, blah. He says, I don't know who the hell you are.
Right.
And that's refreshing to someone like Patton Oswald.
That is refreshing. It also makes me think Erica is like so good at law and does entertainment law because that's what you do in Los Angeles, but she's not someone who reads scripts or writes scripts or is in the scene. And I wonder if that's why Ted appreciates Erica's approach, because they're both like in this world, but not of this world.
That's interesting.
Very similar, not fangirling or fanboying over their clients, just trying to get them the best deal.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see another flashback, and it's like the same trip, but it's Santa Monica, so not like LA proper. And Ted is visiting Samantha because Eddie wanted to see her. And Samantha already knows about this bar fight at Stuart's bachelor party. And he says, yeah. And Ted says, yeah, that happened. And also my dad got convicted, which was like a convenient reason for him to be in LA and not New York at this time. But he still has not told Eddie that his dad just got convicted that morning.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, Eddie just wants to spend the day with Samantha. He's just kicking the can down the line. Just tell him in a little bit. But that's all like perfect that he's going to spend the day with Samantha because Stuart's going to try and woo Ted into moving to LA. But Ted's like, I could never move here because I could never leave Eddie.
Yeah.
Which is also like, just bring Eddie with you.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
I mean, he can't.
No, because he's dead.
Because he's dead, but he coulda.
Yes, let's move on. Let's
skip forward a few years, 15 years or so.
let's get to the present where Patton Oswald is looking for Ted. He comes in to sign his contract for this new dream role. Ted says he can't wait for the negotiations to finish. Patton has no changes. He's excited for this role, no demands, nothing. And then he sees Brian Baumgartner in the conference room. He's the guy from the office that they got into it last time. He apologizes. They kind of play nice, but then they get right back into it. And this time it gets a little physical, and Ted interrupts.
And they're definitely doing their own stunts in this scene. Like the actors, Patton Oswald and Brian Baumgartner, are doing their own stunts in Suits LA, which is probably why Patton Oswald then tells Ted, in this fictional world, not the real world, like on the set of Suits LA, but in the fictional world, in the set of Suits LA, that he now wants to do his own stunts. And so he's like, actually, go back to the contract, get me my own stunts. I'm doing them. And I'm not going to sign until I can do my own stunts on this dream role.
And Ted asks Erica what the heck happened, and she admits that Brian Baumgartner, did in fact egg him on. And that Erica tells... Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, that next part's for a different storyline.
Yeah, sorry. So, then Ted and Patton get into it. The stunt that he wants to do himself now is jumping out of a plane, doing flips, and then the parachute rips. Then he lands with a splat. Patton's having like this full-on panic attack, but still wants to do the stunts. And he gives us like actually pretty poetic reason why about as a performer, that's the only time he doesn't feel afraid is when he's on stage performing. And if he can't do this, he's not going to be able to do that anymore because he can't overcome that fear, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that.
That's because you're more like an actor person, you know? I'm kind of like, I don't need to do my own stunts.
You're a podcaster.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't care. I don't do my own stunts on the podcast, even. You might hear some vocal things that seem like, wow, she's doing flips and whatever, but like, it's mostly probably me just doing this. Like, that's just tapping my fingers. That's not doing a stunt.
No, we got it.
Like, oh, I'm running. Like, no, I
did not. No, that didn't sound like running at all.
Well, that's because I was using my tiptoes.
You were tiptoeing?
Yeah, I was running so fast that it like barely touched the ground.
You were
Let me run back. See, here, I just ran that so fast. Anyways, that's called an audio stunt, and I didn't do it myself. So then we have Stuart's fender bender.
Yeah.
This whole
is
story.
Kind of like the main starting storyline of the show, right?
Yeah. And also just like speaking of running stunts, Stuart runs into Yvette Nicole Brown.
Excellent sequitur.
Thank you. So Stuart goes in to see Rick, who he calls Ricardo. Nice little, oh, look at me, I'm your buddy. And he brings him this very extraordinary Danish to tell him about the whole incident with his client, Yvette Nicole Brown. And he wants Rick to basically be the middleman of his apology and negotiate some terms and say that he's willing to pay for damages. Rick's like, hey, Stuart, an apology does not go through a third party. That is not an apology. You need to do this yourself because this is a messed up situation.
And then Rick, they kind of come to an agreement that essentially Rick will go back and try to win Yvette back over because with this, what he's calling a restraining order, he's unable to see his kids anymore, right? He can't go to their play or their baseball game or their whatever it is. And, his kids mean everything to him. So Rick decides that he's going to go to bat for Ted. He gets her favorite, what is it? A fancy goat milk peppermint latte or something. And he does. He goes to town and he pleads his case, and Yvette starts to come around and she says, okay, I'm willing to lift the restraining order if these three things happen. We hear two of them off the top. One is no these boy bands while he's driving. Then Rick rightfully commented that should have never been allowed.
That was a very Kyle Austin comment. That feels like that would be something you would say in that moment.
That's maybe why I liked it so much. The second is that he must write and recite a poem for her at a large gathering of her friends and families.
Which I loved because my bestie Sarah and I, when we did improv as our 2-person show, The Monthly Junk, we would always have the host. They'd be like, any special way you like to be introduced? And then we'd always say, yeah, actually, the host always writes a poem for us. And then they would have to go out on stage and write a poem for us. And it was just so great because anytime they'd be like, any special way you like to be introduced, and be like, yeah, actually, like our audience has come to really appreciate the host's poem. Did you not know we did that?
No. No, you only performed for like 10 years together. So.
Yeah, so you probably missed a few. This all happened because Stewart did attempt to apologize to Yvette. Like he did attempt, and then it just spiraled out of control. She was like, "You're not even acting like you're sorry. You're not even trying to do this." So
yeah,
they got into it way worse than the first time.
He blows up. He
Yeah.
just the smallest thing, and he's blown up. So.
Very Lewis Liddy. So,
Okay,
but there's this one non-negotiable that needs to be shared.
And that's when he goes into Stewart's office and says, "Look, you're going to have to take an anger management class. And if he does, he can go to his kids' events. If he does not take this, well," and that's when he kind of snaps. And then she's threatening his family. And Rick's like, "Whoa, dude.
Whoa, calm down.
What's this really about?"
Right? What's underneath the surface of this, my friend?
Stewart. So Rick pays a little visit to Ted.
And he says, "Hey, Ted, you need to go talk to Stewart because he's spiraling. Whatever happened between Stewart, Ted, and David Bowie really messed Stewart up." So Ted immediately goes and sits next to him on a bench. And it's just I thought this was a really sweet friendship moment because Stewart is like, "I am not okay. He threatened my family. And now I can't tell the difference between a real life murder threat and a woman yelling at me. With my kids in the car." So he's completely dysregulated. And he doesn't think he can even... What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, he doesn't even think he can talk to Helen, his wife, who is also a therapist, about it because David Bowie threatened her life too, and he doesn't want to make her scared. So he's carrying this burden all alone. And the only person who knows about it is Ted. Yeah.
And that's at the end of the conversation, Stewart kind of breaks down and is like, "I don't know what to do." Ted says, "I do. I know what to do." And that was... for me, it was very comforting. You know what I mean? So here's a quick demo for you. Do you have someone in your life that always just has like wise words to say or says the right thing at the right time every time?
Every time?
Well, most of the time.
I think there's only one person I can think, and it's you, my sweet husband.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say that too.
What were you going to say? Who were you going to say?
Nah, I was going to say you. You're my answer.
You know what? I said this last week on the podcast with Amanda. I thought this was really nice because one of the best mentors, managers I ever had would always be like, do you want to talk through how you're going to solve the problem, or do you want me to tell you what I would do? And just by asking that question, I think that's such an important frame. Yeah. And I feel like in this moment, Ted was doing that for Stewart, right? Stewart's I don't even know what to do. And Ted's like, "Don't worry, I've got you and I can carry you to the next place where then you can do what you need to do. Not like Stewart being like, "I know what to do, I just need to do," and Ted being like, "Well, no, I know what to do," right? It's like Stewart doesn't know what to do, so Ted's going to fill in that gap. I thought that was really nice.
It was very comforting, just that whole scene.
He even like rubbed his back.
He put his head on his shoulder.
Yeah. They weren't afraid of like male friendship, physicality, intimacy. Yeah. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that's nice to see. It's nice to see.
Scrolling up here. Let's see. Oh, that's when Ted goes and sees Samantha.
And he's like, "Hey, Stewart's going to need some time off."
And he's doing it in a cool way where, he's just going to take a week off. He doesn't want Helen to know so she doesn't freak out. He's going to say he's on a business trip. And that leads to what we know where he's going to be next week because of the previews. We know what he's going to be doing next week. We're going to get lit up. He's going
to be at Lewis Litt's Camp for Anger Management.
Also, Lewis looked very different.
Rick Hoffman
looked very different.
What looked different to you?
He looked older, significantly to me.
Yes, yeah.
He looked skinnier. And when you see someone that's big and then they lose a lot of weight, there's kind of like skin that's extra, you know what I'm talking about? They're kind of flapping around a little bit.
He's older too, yeah.
And he's older, so he's just a little saggier, I guess, maybe, is what I saw. But I saw him and I was like, "Oh, that's Lewis." Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is Lewis. So
once it was like Lewis talking, I was there he is.
Yeah. And in the mud, when I saw him in the mud.
Once you see him immersed in mud, you're like, "Oh, I'd recognize that man anywhere."
Do you think we'll see his butt?
I hope we see both their butts.
Why do you want to see?
Well, why did you ask?
Butt again?
You asked. You were excited. You were just as excited as I was. I knew it. I could tell how you were. Did you think we'll see his butt?
Because we see it in the other suits all the time.
Yeah. I think
And they're
he
in
has
a
it
spa. So I think it's a very natural leading question.
I think it's in his contract negotiations that we will see his muddy butt.
Mud butt.
Mud butt.
Different
Thing, but maybe not. But
moving on.
Where's Sierra Carson? She's the 16-year-old girl. Amanda's at the hearing for her, and she asks for the books, right? Like, I want to see the books for my client because she should be able to pay for her attorney. And she's petitioning against the conservatorship. She thinks that she should be able to be emancipated from her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge is actually like, no, this sounds like a 16-year-old girl who didn't get what she wanted and threw a trophy at her dad. So I'm going to side with the father on this. So Amanda's going to have to do this whole case pro bono. And this case is like her big shining gem arrival to the criminal defense section of Ted's firm. And now her first case is a pro bono case, which was what she was doing before she was in the part of Ted's firm.
Yeah, she kind of got pinned in a corner.
She did, real fast.
So after the whole pro bono thing, Ted's waiting in Amanda's office to talk to her about doing the case pro bono on her first big splashy case. And then Ted says they can make it work by getting Erica to sign her as her entertainment lawyer so they still get her money. The problem is Sierra's father.
Sierra's father is the problem because he has to sign off on all of her deals. So then Erica's kind of going over Brian Baumgartner's contract, and Amanda comes in and breaks the news that Sierra Carson needs to be her new client. And Erica's like, I don't want to have this soon-to-be has-been child star as one of my clients because that's not going anywhere for me. But Amanda says you actually owe me from way back in like the first episode or two. So they are not going to be able to make money off of Sierra Carson for the next 2 years or until her father signs her over. But it's worth exploring because Erica loves the long game and she's also up for the challenge. She's going to go straight to the dad and figure this out.
Yep. So in court, the prosecutor says Sierra should be tried as an adult and uses Amanda's argument of fighting for her emancipation as an excuse. Amanda realizes she can't either fight this or accept it and use it to get Sierra free of her dad once and for all. The judge agrees to her trying her as an adult as long as she is legally emancipated.
Yeah, he's like, okay, that sounds fine. So Sierra is now free to make her own legal decisions, her own contract decisions, but small pesky things. She might go away to an adult prison for 5 years.
EB.
Bye.
Then Stuart goes to see
No,
Rick.
that's from a different storyline. I'm sorry,
Nope.
my notes are all messed up.
Then Erica is like, what did you do to Amanda? She's not concerned about Sierra's career. She's worried about her life. You can tell this is kind of personal to Amanda. She's out on the deep end, but Amanda's not going to let what happened to her as a kid happen to Sierra. And that's kind of where you can see it bubbling from within. And then Amanda sees the DA is opening the charges to attempted murder after they talked to her dad. And Erica says she could just settle all this by making peace with father.
Yeah, Erica's like, I don't think that the dad talked to the police and meant for his daughter to go away for attempted murder. I think he just told them what happened and they took that and ran with it. So Sierra Carson's dad, Mr. Forrest, comes to meet with Erica, Sierra, and Amanda. Do you think he's Mr. Forrest because Sierra Carson is a stage name, or because he's a stepdad, or because why? Why don't they have the same last name?
I think that's his last name and that's her stage name.
Stage name?
Yeah. Or maybe it's
Sierra
her middle
Forrest
name.
is a fine name too.
Sierra Carson Forrest.
Well, that's probably what it is. Okay. He doesn't want her to go to adult prison for 5 years. And Amanda thinks that this is all about the money. And she keeps pushing like money.
Where the books?
Money.
Show us the books.
Show us the books.
You can't handle the books.
And the dad's like, I just don't want her to play a whore in a movie because she's 16, which also makes sense. Like hearing that, it's like you probably don't want your 16-year-old daughter playing an adult sexual role in a movie. In 2 years, when she's 18, she can make that her own decision. But as a minor, it's like, yeah, I understand that. And he also confesses the reason he was hiding the books is because there is so much flipping money in there that he didn't want it to change Sierra. He didn't want her to be like, wow, I have more money than I know what to do with, and I'm only 16 years old. So,
yeah, and this is kind of where, I don't know about you, but my opinion of this situation drastically changed. I was very, very much feeling for Sierra most of the episode. And then, when they sit down at a table and you just kind of lay out the facts of you're 16 years old, you threw a statue at him, you're not an adult. You just
Yeah.
proved it by the way you act. Everything is like, and when Dad said there was so much money, he just didn't want it to change her. That also, it's
Makes
like,
sense.
he really is looking out.
Yeah. I had predicted that this was going to be like a Britney Spears
Yes.
dupe, kind of like Law and Order, how they take
Very
real life
much.
headlines. So I thought that I was like, I'm on Sierra's side. Screw the conservator. But then I was like, oh, wait. In this case, it's like, no, he's a good guy. He just has a difference of opinion here. And he doesn't want to lose his daughter over it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Where are we at? Then, so pretty much Erica gets this all
Resolved.
smoothed over. She's the one that is like, look, let's make this work. And after it's all over, she goes into Amanda's office and Amanda tells her why it's personal. And it's that her dad did this to her with her money, her college money that she had earned because he was an addict. And so, she's beaten up by that. And then Erica confides in her that her father was hard on her too. And, it makes Amanda realize that she does have someone in her life, her stepdad, like that. And it was a nice moment where these two ladies who have had a like very business type relationship got personal, and it was cool to watch them connect. Yeah,
I had a prediction early on that they were going to hook up. It hasn't come true yet. Yeah, because I thought I saw them kissing in a preview, but it was actually just a fantasy Ted had about Amanda and Samantha kissing. But I thought it was Erica and Samantha kissing. But now I'm still like, that prediction lives out there on the internet. That prediction could happen. Maybe when they're eating their Chinese food.
That's what I was going to say on the 24th floor. Who knows?
They're like, now this Chinese food tastes a little different.
Little extra crispy egg roll. You know what I mean?
Yep. Maybe. Maybe a little shrimp fried rice over here.
Maybe a little wonton soup.
Maybe a little kung pao chicken.
I hope they have fortune cookies.
Break it open.
I don't know. I got no more after this. We should stop.
Okay. Erica is then thinking that Ted is in her office to thank her for saving the day, because she really did save the day on this one. Yeah. But it's actually old Grandpa Black taking credit for giving her the case. He's like, actually, I told you so. So then seriously, he tells her there's no other person I would rather have by my side than her. And who should hear this from the doorway but Rick, the guy who thought he was Ted's number one man before he left the firm because he was going to make them co-heads of entertainment. And this is just heartbreaking because Rick really does think of Ted as his mentor, as his friend, but he's not the person that Ted wants by his side. Yeah,
and that look that he was giving while listening was
super sad, super pathetic.
Yeah.
Super depressing.
Of course, Erica thought he was coming to talk to her, but he was going to talk to Ted.
Yeah, because, the Ricks have a history, and Erica was, hoping he was coming to talk to her.
But instead, he was coming to talk to Ted to say, look, I don't know what happened, but you got to go be there for Stuart.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of gotten to go, we got to go somewhere together.
That sounds like a little trip to Prediction Town.
It sounds like we're here, babe. Look at us meeting up in Prediction Town.
You want to just go back and forth?
Sure. Let me tell you, my first prediction is that Lewis and Stuart are going to mud together. And I think that it will heal Stuart.
So you watched the preview.
I watched the preview, but I think my addition is it will heal Stuart. He's going to get lit up in a good way, and he will come back a changed man. Maybe even make amends with Ted. Maybe even try and get Ted and Samantha back together. It's going to be a life-changing experience getting lit up in the mud.
It's funny because one of my predictions is that Stuart and Lewis Litt become besties. And they become very close.
Lewis is a recurring role, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that Rick is going to get really jealous that Erica is Ted's number one gal, and he's going to start doing like passive-aggressive things. So he's already said he can't do this. They can't be in this like situationship anymore, but now he's going to start to be like, I'm taking your client, or like trying to prove himself in a real negative way.
That's
very
un-Rick-like. I think that Ted and Erica, because of that comment at the end of nobody, they're going to get close and maybe, but not hook up one night.
Whoa, really?
I think they're going to get real close to hooking up and not.
Okay. I think that Ted and Samantha are going to hook up.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, because she's like drinking in her office and they have a history. So that's who I think Ted's going to hook up with. But we both think that a hookup is happening.
Ted's getting some action at some point.
Yeah, he's getting some kung pao chicken.
Speaking of action, my last prediction is that Rick will get a new girlfriend to make Erica jealous.
Oh my gosh, what if his new girlfriend is one of her clients?
Oh my gosh.
That'd be good.
That would
That'd
be
be
good.
something that would be good. Speaking of things that would be good, but also messed up, since this show loves flashbacks, maybe we'll see a flashback of Amanda's totally messed up childhood with her dad.
See, I think that's a good prediction. However, that episode's already happened. So I wonder, if they flash back next episode for it, what's the point? Unless there's another storyline.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. I know, but it's just like when these things happen, then I'm like, oh, they're setting up that this is a story we should be invested in. And so I want to see some pieces of it.
I don't know. I agree. I don't know which story to invest in and which not. I'm being honest. I'm all over the place with this show. I'm going left with Erica and right with Rick. But I don't know which way's straight. Is it Ted? Is it Stuart? I have no idea.
Also, the names are so similar.
Stuart's beard is too long.
I love his beard, and I still am going to keep my prediction from the last couple of weeks that there's going to be a dramatic hair issue.
Oh, of course. Well, I think they'll shave him. I mean, that'll be the big. But I think like somebody in the professional world, especially an entertainment lawyer, is not going to have the ZZ top or not going to have the long beard. They're going to be trimmed and
exactly.
tight.
High and tight.
I think that's part of why I don't like Stuart, because I do like the actor that's playing Stuart. I just don't like his beard. And Ted is the only guy that I really am all in for.
Because he's beardless.
Because he's the best actor on the show.
It's interesting. I was watching and I was like, I actually feel like they're pretty good actors on this show.
Do you?
I do. I'm like, I think that they're doing a good job on the show acting. I think that the issue is they're trying to fit so much context into the lines of dialogue, right? So I think they're delivering them with the appropriate amount of context, but it's too much crammed in on the writer side of it. You know what I mean?
It's probably Carl.
I think Carl wrote some of those lines.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't want to sound like a negative Nancy. This show is a gift to all of us. Don't get me wrong.
A gift. We get some more soup.
I'm going to pick a storyline, and I'm gonna ride this wave.
Let's do it, babe. Let's ride this wave. Which storyline would you pick right now, and then we'll sign off?
I want to do the LITT and Stuart storyline, and really, it's the Stuart getting healthy storyline with a little bit of LITT subplot. You know what I mean?
I like that. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to like, review, and subscribe. And if you don't know how to leave a review or how to start it, you could always say,
"Look at me. I like suits. Am I singing or am I talking?"
This is perfect. It's the perfect way. Love you.
Love you. Bye.